only gonna speak on this because I'm a mom who receives food stamps, but it's so sad that y'all want to see people without so bad. They doing that little cut to the food stamps and the Medicaid where it hasn't passed the Senate yet, but we know the whole Senate is Republican, so we already know. Let's just hope and pray that somebody in their right mind comes to that senses. You feel me? But it's the fact that y'all happy about this. Oh, now y'all can get y'all lazy up and stop living off our money for free. Y'all think people who receive government assistance don't work? Y'all think we don't work? Baby, housing done went up. The cost of living done went up. The food cost done went up. Daycare done went up. We out here damn near about to lose our lives trying to hustle and get money to pay the bills. That's why we need the government assistance. The car payments done went up. Car insurance done went up. And it's gonna go up some more because tariffs. So, what do y'all get? Oh, people who own government assistance are poor, they're lazy, or they don't work. Where do y'all get that from? I think that's a stereotype y'all started because people in the hood or the projects or the trailer parks, yeah, y'all put that on everybody. No, that ain't how that work. Because I'm at work. I'm in school. I'm doing the best I can. I need my food stamps. But if they take it away, I'm going to do what I got to do to make ends meet. It ain't going to stop nothing.
Okay, well, if it's not going to stop anything, then why are you concerned about it? Why is this a big deal if it's not going to stop nothing, if it's not going to stop the movement, if you're still going to do what you're going to do? And that means that you are already an able-bodied adult and that taxpayers shouldn't have to foot the bill in the first place. I think that these women are confused a lot of times, right? And the reason that they're confused is because they believe that they are entitled to it. And so a lot of times they speak as though they deserve it, as though the people that are really holding our legislators accountable for what it is that they're allocating budget for are not using our taxpayer dollars. That's the key. When you receive government assistance, it don't just come out of thin air. It actually comes from us, the taxpayers. So when we get more concerned and we say, well, listen, we need to start trimming the budget, Department of Government Efficiency, we want to spend more time and more energy on making sure that people have an opportunity to find the jobs that they want, that we need to increase investment inside of the United States of America, and we want to reduce the amount of people that are taking advantage of what's happening with social services. And let's be clear, there are people that need it as a bridge, but most of the people that I've ever seen in my lifetime sell their food stamps, they finesse, they lie, they act like they don't know where their baby daddy at, and their baby daddy be living with them. And it's so much finessing that we do need to make sure that we get this whole program in order. You know, to act like people are excited to see you fail. No, people want you to be accountable and responsible for the fact that you opened up your legs to have children with people and then you couldn't afford them. And then it's a lot of people that are out here. I mean, God, it's a lot of people out here that are gloating. They are telling on themselves. They saying that they are lying to the federal government so that they can continue to get food stamps. And they still opening up their legs and they having kids.
Fellas, listen up, because this one's gonna rattle a few wigs and ruffle a few feathers. While some folks are celebrating Trump cracking down on food stamps, you got black women in bonnets online losing their minds. Mad because the state just told them no more junk food on the government's dime. But let's talk about the real issue here. Not Trump, not the food, but the deep-rooted culture that turned welfare into a lifestyle and accountability into an attack. Let's stop pretending like this came out of nowhere. You ever notice how people only get loud when their comfort is threatened? Trump cuts food stamps, and suddenly everybody's mad. But let's keep it real. It's not everybody. It's mostly women. Specifically, a certain group that's got way too comfortable living off the system. And let's not lie about it. A lot of them are black women in bonnets who built their lives around government aid like it's a career path. And now that the free ride is coming to a stop, oh, now it's oppression. Now it's injustice. No, it's accountability. Something too many women have managed to dodge for decades while blaming men for everything wrong in their lives. Let me ask you something. How did we even get here? How did it become normal to have multiple kids, no stable man in the house, no income outside of government checks, and still walk around with this inflated sense of entitlement like the world owes you something? When Trump cut those stamps, what he really did was put a mirror in front of a culture that's been feeding itself lies. And it ain't just about food stamps. It's about a mentality. A mentality that says, I don't need a man, I got Uncle Sam. But when that money gets cut, when those stamps dry up, suddenly y'all remember men exist again. Except by then the good ones are long gone. Why? Because you chased them off. You made them feel useless. You replaced the father with the state and called it independence. That ain't independence. That's dependency with a fake crown on top. This system was never supposed to be a lifestyle. It was supposed to be a safety net, a temporary thing to get people back on their feet. But too many women turn it into a lifestyle and pass it down like it's some kind of legacy. How you explain 3 generations of women in one household living off government aid, and all of them angry at the world? You're mad because Trump cut it, but maybe the real anger is about being forced to finally grow up. You mad because now you got to do something real, get a job, learn a skill, build something, instead of waiting on that next card refill. And before anyone tries to twist it, this isn't about all black women. It's about the ones who build a whole personality around struggle and turn victimhood into a brand. The ones who look down on men trying to grind because he ain't got flash, but then turn around and beg the government for diapers. The ones who push men out and propped up a system that only kept them stuck. If more women chose stability over clout, husbands over handouts, purpose over pity, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But y'all made your choice. You said you didn't need men. You said the system was enough. Now that the system is checking out, what's left? Don't get mad at Trump. Get mad at the decisions that brought you here. Get mad at the culture that told you dysfunction is normal. Get mad at the fact that when real men try to lead, you called it toxic. When they tried to build, you called it controlling. When they left, you called it abandonment. But maybe they just got tired of playing second to a government check. If you're triggered right now, good. Maybe it means the truth is finally hitting. Maybe it's time to stop blaming and start rebuilding. Because the truth is, no politician is coming to save you. No system can replace real accountability. And no amount of stamps can fill the emptiness that comes from rejecting structure, rejecting family, rejecting real partnership.
I just seen that Trump is making a change with food stamps. So I think it's requirements, but I think you have to work a minimum of a certain amount of hours in order to get food stamps. And I love that. I'm not going to lie. It'd be a lot of people living off government assistance, literally never working a job, stacking all their personal bread, and literally living off the government their whole lives. I've been working since I was 16 years old. I go to work every day faithfully, no matter if I was in school, high school, college, and no matter, I always had a job. And the only time I was able to get food stamps was when I was in college. And when I didn't have a job for like 2 months, like when I first moved back from college. That was the only time I was ever eligible for food stamps. And barely when I was in college, barely made it. So I feel like this is good. The people who are actually working, putting in the work, putting in the effort, that just need a little bit of boost, just a little bit of help with groceries. Like, I feel like this is a perfect opportunity for us. I'm saying us, including me, because yes, need that. Versus people who actually can get up and go through. I'm not even talking about people's grandparents who, you know what I mean, they can't physically get up. They need it. But people who literally can go get up and go work and go make it for themselves, they just choose not to. Like, taking advantage completely. So yes, I'm excited. Hopefully I can get me some. Okay.
So Trump is back at it again, making moves that actually make sense. And guess who's mad? Not hardworking men. Not families trying to do right. Not people grinding every day. It's the usual crowd. The single, modern, self-proclaimed independent women who built their lives around government assistance and now feel personally attacked because the EBT requirements are getting tighter. And you know what? They should feel attacked. Because the truth is, they've been living in a system that rewards irresponsibility, and now that the tap is being turned off, they don't know what to do. All that "I don't need a man" energy is disappearing quick when Uncle Sam says, "No more free ride." Let's just be honest. For years, these women have gamed the system, have babies with no plan, kick the father out, collect checks, and repeat. They've used welfare like a lifestyle subscription, not a safety net. And for too long, nobody called out, but now Trump is doing what needed to be done, saying, if you want assistance, you better be working, training, or doing something useful. And somehow that's controversial? No. What's controversial is how many women got comfortable living off handouts and acting like queens with no kingdom. How many are raising multiple kids with no husband, no job, no vision, just vibes and government benefits. They talk all day about being strong and independent, but collapse when you say you might have to actually qualify to get EBT now. That's not strength. That's dependency dressed up in empowerment slogans. You got women out here who spent more time learning how to finesse the welfare office than building a skill. You got women who see child support and Section 8 as tools to avoid ever being accountable for their own choices. And now that the standards are being raised, now that you actually got to show effort, they're in meltdown mode. These are the same women who laugh at men struggling to find work. The same ones who said, a man's not needed. The same ones who mocked fathers being pushed out of the home. But suddenly, when the government isn't babysitting anymore, now it's a crisis. Now it's discrimination. Now, it's called consequences. You push men out, made the state your provider, and now the provider is cutting you off. And you know what? That's fair, because you made your bed. You picked comfort over growth. You picked control over partnership. You picked the government over the father of your child. And now, Trump is saying enough is enough. He's putting pressure where it hurts. And that's what leadership looks like, not enabling dysfunction, but forcing change. Women created this mess. Not all women, but the loudest ones, the most prideful ones, the ones who think femininity means doing nothing and demanding everything. They created a culture where it's normal to be 30 with 4 kids and no job. They normalize laziness. They praise single motherhood like it's a badge of honor when it's really just pain passed down. So don't cry now. Don't cry because EBT might actually require effort. Don't cry because you might lose those benefits you built your whole identity around. It's time to grow up. It's time to face the reality that men have faced for decades. No one's coming to save you. Trump is just a mirror. He's showing y'all what happens when dependency gets exposed. And if you're mad, that's fine. But you're not mad at Trump. You're mad that the game is up. You're mad that the government daddy is finally saying, get together, and maybe, just maybe, it's what y'all needed all along.
So I don't know if y'all saw the recent Supreme Court ruling. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry. But they sided with the Trump administration on nationwide injunctions, which was what was preventing birthright citizenship, which was preventing Trump's birthright citizenship executive order from going in effect. And so essentially it's a 30-day pause before whatever guidance they put out will go in effect, which essentially means that you can't do a nationwide injunction to curtail some of his executive orders, which essentially means that it puts 250,000 children. It puts 250,000 children in limbo. And we know that they don't want to stop there. They've already been trying to position to put U.S. citizens in foreign jails, which we know a lot of that will be Black and brown people. And the Supreme Court basically said that they can rewrite the Constitution unilaterally. So it seems the only way to protect yourself or your child, and like, I'm trying not to cry, but as a mom, it's hard to imagine you not knowing if your child is safe. Citizenship is like the bedrock of the Constitution. If you're born on the land of the United States of America, you're a citizen. So for the court to put out this order and then not even comment on the merits, which essentially puts all us in limbo, it takes years to get to the Supreme Court. That means you can be a citizen in California, but you might not be a citizen in Texas. And we've already seen them use the National Guard to go and usurp the governor of California. And the courts have already ruled in that situation that they have the ability to usurp the governor and use the National Guard if they feel like it. And we all read that executive order where he wants to do that. So you could essentially have ICE agents going into hospitals and ripping children from their mom. Where does that stop? He's starting with immigrants, but we know that's not their goal. The architect of all this was the Heritage Foundation, with the use of Stephen Miller, with the idea that immigrants were making the country more diverse. In order to fill that diversity, you have to essentially remove that population from the country. So now it's immigrants. Next, it might be nationalized citizens. Next, it might be Black Americans. And like, the 14th Amendment was made specifically because there were a bunch of slaves that did not have a place. that weren't U.S. citizens. So they had the 14th Amendment so that all people would be citizens. And essentially, all that's in limbo, as well as all of the other nationwide injunctions that we're putting against the Trump administration are now in limbo. The only option, it seems now, is to have a class action lawsuit, which takes a long time to farm, and you literally would have to have your name on that lawsuit to have any kind of form of protection. And there's no telling that the Trump administration won't argue that that class action lawsuit, that class, isn't illegal, because let's say if you're not a legal citizen here, then what's preventing them from saying that you don't also benefit from our laws and the ability to have class action lawsuit? I'm so sorry I did this crying. Like, I just can't imagine. This is the reason why it goes back to, like, I don't understand why we can't have bold leadership in the Democratic Party. Do you see how far Republicans are willing to go? We don't have anybody on our side that is willing to go this far to protect rights. To protect rights. These people are going so far to rip away rights. Why don't we have any kind of leadership that is coming out to protect rights? Why not? Y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments. Again, I apologize for all the crying. I did not mean to do that. It's just that I wanted to make this video to make sure other people are aware that essentially the Supreme Court has sided with Donald Trump, and in 30 days, everything just falls in limbo when it comes to birthright citizenship. Citizens, United States citizens, black people, white people, we're not safe in this country because it starts with the immigrant. Then where does it go? We all know this story. It starts with one group to see how you will accept it. Then they next target the next group. Then they target the next group. Then they target the next group. But like I said, y'all tell me what y'all think about all this in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.
So the Supreme Court just backed Trump on nationwide injunctions. And yeah, most people don't even understand what that means. But let me break it down for you. It means the old way of blocking federal actions with one judge in one liberal state is over. And that matters big time, especially now that birthright citizenship is on the chopping block. All that just have a baby on U.S. soil and get a free pass mentality? Yeah, it's no longer safe. That door is closing fast. And while some folks are shocked, crying, blaming Trump, you know who needs to be held accountable? Women. Because let's be real, women played a massive role in opening the floodgates in the first place, emotionally voting, emotionally backing policies, emotionally defending every sob story without ever thinking about the long-term cost of the country, to communities, and especially to men who've been trying to keep structure in place. It was women who fought for open borders under the name of compassion. It was women who said everybody deserves a chance, even when that meant breaking the law. It was women who backed politicians who weaponized immigration for votes, all because it felt right, not because it made sense. And when men said, this isn't sustainable, we need borders, we need order, women called it xenophobic, racist, heartless. They were out in the streets with signs and hashtags and pink hats, yelling about humanity, while ignoring the fact that their choices were making American families, especially black and working class ones, pay the price. Birthright citizenship became a hustle. Women from other countries were flying and pregnant just to deliver on U.S. soil. It wasn't about loving this country. It was about securing benefits, locking in that automatic citizenship, getting access to food stamps, housing, health care, the full package, all on the backs of taxpayers. And too many women here in America were cheering it on, never realizing that they were selling out their own communities. Because while they were protecting everybody else's children, their own were growing up in broken homes, crowded schools, overrun neighborhoods. But hey, it felt good to stand for something, right? And now that Trump's moves are being backed by the Supreme Court, now that birthright citizenship is at risk, now that the structure is getting restored, guess who's panicking? Women. The same women who didn't think about consequences. The same ones who thought their vote was just about feelings. The same ones who put emotion over law. But this is the result. This is what happens when order gets drowned out by emotional activism. The balance tips too far, and now it's snapping back. You had women who fought for sanctuary cities, who protected illegals over citizens, who pushed to remove IC, who wanted open welfare for everyone. And now they're shocked that America is finally waking up. They're crying that the rules are getting real again. They're worried about their birthright, babies not being safe anymore. But let's be honest, they helped build this. They made chaos look like compassion. They made lawlessness look like love. They helped break the system. And now they're scared because someone like Trump is fixing it. So don't act surprised. Don't play victim now. The Supreme Court is just holding the line. Trump is just doing what weak men refuse to do. Say enough is enough. We've coddled the world while our own homes fall apart. And while men were trying to protect the structure, women were out here tearing it down in the name of progress. Well, this is the result of your progress. Birthright citizenship isn't a guaranteed hustle anymore, and it's about time.
Trump said you can only get on Section 8 if you're a veteran or a disabled person. Now listen, I agree. If you are of sound mind and good health, you need to get up and figure it out just like the rest of us. Stop having kids so you can ride the wave. The government shouldn't have to help you. At the end of the day, we're all independent. We can get up and grind. Do it like I do it. What do you mean? Why not? We're sick of people just riding the government's wave. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to just get housing, pay half of my rent, and then use these food stamps. If I need more, I'm going to just pop out another baby. What? What happened to go get it out the mud? What happened to work hard for what you want? What happened to that type of thing? You should leave that for people who really need it. People who are missing organs. People who have, they mentally can't, you know what I'm saying? People who need this type of help. Y'all don't. Let's be honest. Y'all don't.
Trump just said it plain and simple. If you're not a veteran or a disabled person, don't expect to sit back and live off the government. No more Section 8, no more free housing, no more lazy life on the taxpayer's dime. And guess who's crying the loudest? It ain't the men grinding every day to make ends meet. It's the women. Specifically, the single, modern, entitlement-filled women who built their whole lifestyle on handouts. The same ones who said, I don't need a man, but made Uncle Sam their baby daddy. The same ones who ran men out of the home, turned Section 8 into a dating filter, and wore struggle like it was a badge of honor. Now the game is up, and Trump just pulled the plug. For years, women have manipulated the system, have a few kids, kick the father out, go down to the office, say he left me, and boom, housing voucher, EBT card, low income this, free program that. No ambition, no job, no effort, just comfort. And when men try to lead, build, or provide structure, women push them away and say, I'm independent. But here's the truth. You're not independent. You've just been dependent on a government that's finally saying enough. And Trump's saying exactly what men have been thinking. If you're able-bodied, if you're not serving this country, if you're not disabled, get your ass up and work. This isn't oppression. This is reality. Men have been getting up and grinding since the beginning of time. We're expected to build, to sacrifice, to provide, with or without help. But women, too many have turned struggle into strategy. They know how to cry on cue, manipulate paperwork, play the system, and stay comfortable while doing nothing. They raise kids in fatherless homes, expect praise for doing the bare minimum, and complain when consequences finally show up. But now it's here. The government daddy you relied on is cutting you off unless you've truly earned it. And let's be real, most of y'all haven't. You want to live in that subsidized apartment, pay $50 rent, and act like you're winning. But when that same program starts asking you to work for it, you're offended. Why? Because working means accountability. And women today have been taught to reject accountability at all costs. You blame men, blame systems, blame everything except your own choices. But guess what? Choices have consequences. You chose to push men away. You chose to stay unemployed. You chose to live through government assistance. Now the system is changing and you're exposed. No more free ride. No more reward for laziness. If you're not contributing, you're getting out. And don't come crying with the usual excuses. What about single mothers? You chose that path. You chose to lay up with men you didn't vet. You chose dysfunction. And instead of building something real with a man, you chose the government. That's not on Trump. That's on you. Because while he was building businesses, serving the country, and making power moves, y'all were busy complaining about $25 copays and standing in line for housing you didn't earn. But now it's time to grow up. Veterans deserve it. Disabled people deserve it. You better clock in. Don't blame Trump. Blame the mirror. Blame the culture that told you being a baby mama was a career. Blame the mindset that said a man's role is optional, but the government's check is mandatory. Because now the rules are changing. And if you're not ready to work, you're going to be left behind. And maybe that's what you need, not another benefit, but a reality check.
So Trump and his administration has passed a bill to where junk food can't be bought with EBT. And hey, don't get me wrong. I understand a lot of people do abuse it. That's understandable. Here is the thing. To eat healthy and organic is very expensive. So if you got a family that only get $500 and you want them to eat organic and healthy, they're not going to get a lot of food that lasts them throughout the month because the prices are so expensive. So if they're going to do that, I think they need to go after these companies that are charging an arm and a leg for organic or healthy food. Like, that's crazy. To be healthy, it costs so much. Even when we go to the store, a bottle of water, $4, $5 for a bottle of water. Water should be a bottle of water, like single bottle of water, should be like 50 cents because it's healthy. But then you can go outside of Walmart and get a can of soda for 50 cents. And then they wonder why Americans are big and Americans are unhealthy. And America's like, it's a lot of fat people over here compared to other countries, because other countries, food and produce are like damn near organic. It's like, you know what I'm saying, way fresher and healthier than our food. But I'm going to mind my business on that.
You see what's happening? They're cutting junk food and sugary drinks from food stamp eligibility, and people are losing their minds. But let's be real, Trump is not being cruel. He's being corrective. He's telling folks, especially women who've been living off these benefits for years, to get back to real food, real cooking, and real responsibility. What's wrong with encouraging people to eat healthy, buy vegetables, and stop living on chips, soda, and frozen dinners bought with taxpayer money? That's not oppression. That's common sense. But of course, the loudest outcry is coming from women who turn the EBT system into a lifestyle, not a lifeline. Women who haven't cooked a proper meal in years, who microwave everything, who pass down poor health habits to their children, and then cry about generational curses. If you're mad that you can't use food stamps to buy cookies and Coke anymore, maybe the issue isn't Trump. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's the fact that the system made it way too easy to avoid accountability while raising unhealthy kids in unhealthy homes. Women were given the tools to create stable households, but a lot chose convenience over commitment, microwave meals over made-from-scratch food, and instant gratification over long-term structure. And now that the government is saying, hey, maybe you should be feeding your kids something green for once, it's a problem? Where was the same energy when you were feeding them hot fries and honey buns for breakfast? Where was all the concern for health when the cart was filled with soda, but not a single vegetable? Trump isn't the villain here. The villain is the mindset that turned food stamps into a hustle, that replaced effort with entitlement. The villain is a culture that told women they don't need to cook, don't need to clean, and don't need a man. Just swipe that EBT card and keep it moving. But the game is changing. Now they're being told to do what generations before them did naturally. Plan meals, cook food, feed families right. And instead of stepping up, many are melting down. Let's call it what it is. This isn't about food. It's about discipline. It's about structure. It's about women being held accountable for the choices they've made for themselves and their children. Because let's be honest, if this exact same reform came from Michelle Obama or some liberal first lady, they'd be praising it as a health revolution. But because it's Trump, now it's suddenly evil? No, it's necessary. It's overdue. It's reality knocking on the door. If you're mad you can't get junk food with food stamps anymore, don't blame Trump. Blame the culture that told you never had to grow up. Blame the comfort that became a crutch. And most of all, blame the choices. Because at the end of the day, real change starts in your kitchen, not in the White House.
Trump has stated that you have to make less than $35,000 a year to qualify for food stamps. Now I know this ruffles a lot of feathers and a lot of y'all are going to be angry about it because you feel like you deserve to be on food stamps or you should qualify and this and that. But you want to know what I think? You want to know how I feel? I feel like it's time. It's time to get your ass up and go out and do what you need to do for your family. You need to go and you need to work like everybody else. 1 job, 2 jobs, don't matter how many jobs. I got 5. So get out there and make your own money to buy your own food. Let the people who don't got nothing going on get the food stamps. You know, people who can't work, people who have health issues going on, veterans, you know, stuff like that. People who really, truly need it. Not people who are just trying to use it so they can use that extra money to go to the club and buy a new wig.
So, Donald J. Trump said if you don't make over $35,000 a year, you don't qualify for food stamps. And now the internet's on fire. But let's get to the root of it. The loudest people complaining, it's not the elderly, it's not the disabled. It's women who made a career out of living off government assistance instead of building structure, discipline, or a stable household. And the truth is, Trump is not punishing anyone. He's forcing accountability. He's saying, if you're able-bodied, if you can work, if you can scroll TikTok and complain about the rules, you can also put in the effort to raise your income and take care of yourself. But here's where the conversation gets real. Too many women have gotten way too comfortable with the system doing everything for them. Free food, free housing, free daycare, free this, free that, all at the expense of taxpayers, all while refusing to do the basic things required to move forward. You had women online screaming, "This isn't fair." What about the single mothers? But what about the choices that led to becoming a single mother 3 or 4 times over with no plan, no husband, no income, and no strategy? Why is it always someone else's job to clean up the mess? Trump saying $35K or no food stamps is a wake-up call, not a war cry. He's drawing a line that says, if you want help, help yourself first. And the truth is, the women who are angry aren't upset about starvation. They're upset about losing a crutch they leaned on for years. They're mad that effort is being required. They're mad that being average with no ambition no longer qualifies for government reward. Let's not forget, these are the same women who brag online about being independent, but rely on the system like it's a second parent. The same women who rejected stable men, mocked hardworking brothers, and chased a lifestyle of clout and comfort. Now they're facing the reality that independence isn't just a hashtag. It means earning your keep. It means cooking, budgeting, working, showing up, not just taking. Trump isn't canceling food stamps. He's canceling the laziness that comes with misusing them. And if a woman can't clear $35,000 a year, after all the jobs available, side hustles out there, online opportunities, and resources we've got in 2025, then maybe the issue isn't Trump's policy. Maybe the issue is priorities. Because you had time for everything else. Nails done, lashes on, Wi-Fi paid, new iPhone, name brand clothes. But you couldn't build a life that clears $35,000? That's not a government issue. That's a personal one. That's years of bad decisions stacked on top of each other. And now the bill is due. So stop blaming Trump. He's not punishing women. He's exposing the ones who made excuses their personality and turned welfare into a lifestyle. And if that's you, it's time to wake up. Because survival now requires responsibility. And this time, the free ride isn't coming to save you. So if that message hit you hard, good. It was meant to. Because the truth isn't supposed to feel comfortable. It's supposed to wake you up. Trump isn't ruining lives. He's just cutting off the excuses. And if you're mad about a $35,000 requirement, ask yourself why you never pushed to get there in the first place. Fellas, we've been saying this. Accountability is coming whether they like it or not. And the days of rewarding reckless choices are done. So if you're one of the few still holding it down, building something real, protecting your value, keep going. Drop a comment, Share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Because over here, we're not sugarcoating the truth. We're just putting it right where it belongs. See you in the next one.